Hello everyone, it's Professor Sadiq Noor, and today I am gonna demonstrate and show you how to complete MyLab Excel Chapter 2 Mid-Level 1 Payroll for PC and Mac. So let's start. So as you see, I'm already in the canvas under the assignment. And then I'm gonna go to Excel Chapter 2, Mid-Level 1, Payroll for PC and Mac. So click it, open the person so that we can open the assignment. Now we are in MyLab. So in under the MyLab, we have to download the starting materials or the starting files. And then once we're done with the steps, we have to upload the files and submit it for grading. So the first thing is to download the files. So we're gonna click here, download, and then we have to download three files. So one is the picture of what will be the output of these assignment, the how the assignment should look like, right? But it doesn't have any formula or anything to go with it. It's just the output. So the other files is the Microsoft Word, which has the instruction, and then they provided the Excel file that we have to work on it for the payroll. So I will download all the file at one time, or you can download them individually to your download section of your Windows 11. So I will download all the three files together. As you see, the three file is being downloaded, one Microsoft Word, the picture, and then the Excel file. Now I will close the download starting material. I will download it. I will close it. Now I will close MyLab and I can also log out from my canvas because we don't need it anymore. So I will minimize it. Now I will go to the yellow folder on my taskbar of my Windows 11. In the left-hand side, I will click on download. And then you see here, I have the Excel file. I have the Microsoft Word that has the instruction in it. And then this is actually the picture that at the end of the day, your assignment should look like this. If it's missing any of this, then it means that you have done wrong in your assignment, right? So to do that now, we have to work on the steps to find out the regular pay, overtime, gross pay, taxable pay, federal tax, the FICA, net pay for Kathleen Coffee Shop. All right. So we will open the instruction Microsoft Word first. Double click it. Be sure that you have Microsoft Word and Excel installed in your computer. So I will zoom so that we can read the instruction one after the other. So the assignment is Kathleen Coffee Shop weekly payroll, and we have to go through the steps. So the first step is that we have to open Excel chapter 02 ML1 payroll Excel. So I will put this file and instruction under the video description. So if any one of you wants to follow my steps with me in this video, so you're gonna have the file associated or the file I'm using, okay? So now they say we have to open the payroll Excel. So I will go back to my download and this is the file I need to work on it. So I will double click it to open in Excel. So when you open the file in Excel, obviously you have to be sure that you know your file is protected actually in the beginning, you see. So you have to enable editing. All right. So the next thing we need to do is first I will describe to you the overview of Excel. So first, as you see, this is the title bar. It has the name of the workbook. So Excel file is called workbook. This is the quick access toolbar. It has save, undo, redo. And then if you look in the right hand side of my screen, you will have the minimize, maximize, and close. And then also in the middle, you will see the search if you want to search about anything. Then the next thing is the tab. Most of the Microsoft application, it has the tab now. Always you will find it below the quick access toolbar, the tabs. And then below the tab is your ribbon. This is your ribbon. The ribbon consists of groups, and within the groups is actually the command. So the groups like style group, sales, number groups, right? Alignment group, font, and so on. So inside the group is the command. These are the command here. All these are the command, right? Within the arrow for more, you can click on it, the down arrow to give you more options. So the other thing which is very much important in Excel is that the formula bar. So anything inside the cell, anything that you typed, everything will show up in the formula bar. And the formulas that you have used also will be visible under the formula bar, right? So you're gonna see when I will demonstrate uh, the the steps, I will be using the formula bar more oftenly. Then guys, we have these three icons here. One is the FX. FX means to insert the function. So to open the function dialog box. The check sign here is if you tap anything here. For example, if you tap your name and then you wanna, instead of pressing the enter key from your keyboard, you say, let me click the check sign to enter it. And then if you, before you enter, if you said, no, I don't want that, then you can hit the X to delete it. The first box here is very important too. This box is what we call the name box. It tells us where we are located in the worksheet, all right? The name box. So suppose that if you want to go to row number 200, so instead of scrolling all the way to 200 rows, I can type here. I can say the column name and then the row I want to go to. All right. Quickly, you will go to that specific row and column. Now, the next thing here, actually, your workbook, Excel file is a workbook. So your actually, workbook consists of worksheets. Consists of what? Worksheets. Okay. Whatever you see in front of you is worksheets. Worksheets. Okay. Now, by default, Excel will give us only one sheet to start with, and then you can add as many sheets, and then you can double click the sheet one or two, and then you can give it any name you want. So this one that we're gonna be using it already been named as weekly payroll, right? So the other thing that I wanna share with you that the worksheet actually consists of what we call columns and rows, right? So if you look in the top, the columns are represented by alphabet, right? The column are represented by what? Alphabet, whereas the columns, the rows are represented by number. So a worksheet actually is a single sheet in a workbook file that let you enter and manipulate the data, perform calculations with data, and analyze the data. All right. Now the other thing, guys, that I want to share with you, now I'm saying each worksheet in a workbook has how many columns? It has 16,000. Let me write it for you. So we have 16,000, 16,000. So let me write it down again. 16,384. So you can imagine in one worksheet, the number of columns is 16,384 columns. Okay, that's too much. You cannot finish all these columns in one worksheet. Whereas the rows are 1, 0, 4, 8, comma, comma. See how much rows you have in one worksheet. That's the number of rows in your worksheet in Excel. Okay. So if you add it together, the total sales that you have is a lot of sales. You cannot finish all this. You can imagine. So that's the number, the total number of sales in Excel. That's the total sales. All right. Now, this is the tab where all your worksheet, and if you want to add more, you can hit the plus sign to add more worksheet. It depends how much, how is how comprehensive workbook you wanna create. And then you have the vertical scroll bar. This is the horizontal to move us to the left and right. And then we have the status bar here that tell us that Excel is ready to go. Accessibility is good to go. And then you have the views, right? So the normal view always Excel is in a normal, is in gray. And then you have print, layout, and page break. So we don't use much oftenly these two guys, but when you have to give like footers and headers, when you want to give name to your headers or footer of your workbook, then obviously it's going to switch you to the other view, like the print layout. And then you have the zoom here to magnify if you want to make it bigger, smaller. Then if you want to make it big, then you have to move the bar to the right. And if you want to zoom it, you want to shrink the zoom, you kind of move it to the left. So let's start with the assignment. So we have to read and perform. All right. And then here also we have something note for us that the base work week is 40 hours. Regular pay is based on the hourly wage and hour worked up to 40. Overtime pay is based on the overtime hours, the hourly wage, and the overtime rate. The gross pay is the total of the regular pay and the overtime pay. The taxable pay is the difference between the gross pay and the product of the number of dependent deduction per dependent. Federal withhold tax is calculated on the taxable pay based on the tax table, right? So this is our tax table here, okay? And then the FICA is calculated on the employee gross pay. And then finally, we need to find the net pay is based on the gross pay federal without withholding tax and FICA. So we need to find out all these empty cells here using the formulas and the functions in Excel. So let's read the first. The first statement is use the if function to calculate the regular pay we need to find out, overtime pay in column E and F based on the regular 40 hours work a week. Be sure to use the appropriate absolute or mixed cell references. Pay overtime only for overtime hours. Now you need to note that employees receive 1.5 their hourly wage for an overtime hours worked. Calculate the gross pay in the cell G5 based on the regular and the overtime pay. Now the first employee is Spencer's. Regular pay is 440 and with 5 overtime hours, Spencer overtime pay is 82.50, right? So in this case now we have to find the regular pay for the first employee, Spencer, and also we have to find out the overtime pay, right? So we have to use the exception they have given us. So let me show you here. We have to find what we call expense. This employee here expense, right? We want to find his regular pay and then the overtime pay. Now, we can also use the exception here. So when you are about to use the exception, which is here, so always remember, if you want to use any of these exception they have given for us, we have to make them to be absolute, right? You can either make the column only to be fixed and the row can move. That way you can mix it. We can mix references. So, or you can make it just absolute. Like if you're gonna be using 40, then obviously I will try to, I will make these our work hours to be absolute so that when I will copy the formula to the next employees, then it's not gonna move down because always Excel is relative to the cell. So Excel assume that if you have used 40, then when you copy for the next what we call for the next employee, then obviously that means whatever next to the 40, that's what you want to add up, which is wrong. We need only 40 to be used in the calculation, right? So we need to make these guys to be fixed, absolute, right? By adding the dollar sign with it. So, so let's start with the first one. Let me scroll up. We want to find Spencer, and then from there, we could uh, find out the other employees. So first time, like for Spencer, is gonna take a time to find his regular pay and overtime, gross pay, taxable pay, federal tax, FICA, and net pay. Once you have get Spencer uh, payment, then obviously the other will be easy. Just we have to copy by holding the fill handle, and then we're gonna copy the formula to the rest of the employees. Now, let's start with the regular pay. So as we have to use the if condition, right? So we will go to formulas, the formulas tab. Then you will see function library. Then you will go to logical, and then you're gonna click if. Now, if what? If the hour worked, which is D5 for Spencer, less than equal equal this guy here, the base hour worked here, the 40, right? So click on it. Now we want to make the 40 to be what? Absolute. So press the function key, Fn and F4 together. As you notice that the B24 now it has a dollar sign with it. So that means this becomes an absolute, right? So to make a cell absolute that you don't want to change, you don't want that cell to change when you're going to copy the formula, then you have to press Fn key in your keyboard. At the same time, you have to press F4. All right. That will be equivalent to absolute. If you want to make the cell to remain fixed, you don't want to move it. You don't want the cell to move up or left or right. Only you want to use that value on that cell, then you have to make it absolute. All right. Now, so we said if the hourly worked is less than 40, which is the assumption about the base work hour. If it's less than 40, which is false because 45 less than equal, it's not that less than equal 40, right? Then what? If it's true, then what you want? We want the hours, which is D5 for Spencer, the hours multiplied by C5. C5 is what? The hourly wage. All right. So we want to fix the column, not the row. So to make the column absolute only, not the row, then you will have to use shift and the dollar sign, and then you have to click on C5, the hourly wage. Right? So let me delete this. It went to the wrong place. So multiply first the hour worked by the wages, then go to the left of the C. You can move with the arrows and then shift and the dollar sign to make it absolute. All right. So only we make the the column C to be absolute, not the row. Right? That's what we call is mix. And then what we want to do next, we're gonna say, so we said if is this, then the hour the hour worked multiplied by the hourly wages, right? Otherwise, if it's false, then the hourly the exception that we said base work hour, which is the 40, and we have to make it absolute. So Fn and F4 to make it absolute, right? Multiply by the hourly wage, which is C5 for Spencer, right? And we want to make the column, so go to the left of the column with the arrows and put the dollar sign so that we can make it absolute. So if it's false, then whatever the assumption that we made, base work hours 40 multiplied by this. All right. Otherwise, if it's more than, then whatever the hours worked multiplied by the hourly wage. So the answer it says here is going to be 440 because the hour worked is not less than 40. All right, the B24. Now click OK. Perfect. Now we need to find out the overtime. All right. So move your cursor to F5. And then we're going to go back to the formula tab, go to the logical and find the if. When you click on the if, it's going to open the function argument dialog box. If what? What's your logic now? If what? If D5, the hour worked, right? Greater, because it's an overtime, greater the 40, which is the exception that you made. So 40. So we want to make the 40 absolute. So press the Fn in your keyboard and F4. You will notice that a dollar sign will be added before the column and before the row number. Now, if the hour worked is greater than 40 and it says it's true, then what you want to do? We want to do, open a parenthesis, we're going to say the hour worked for Spencer is 45 actually, minus the exception that we made, which is the 40, and make it absolute. So Fn F4, and then close the parentheses, and then multiply by the hourly wage. All right. Now, if you want, because we want to make the column to be absolute, right? So you will have to hold the Fn and you have to keep on pressing until you see the dot. So we don't want this. We don't want the row to be absolute. We want the column, which is C. So that's the one. So keep on pressing the Fn and F4. Then multiplied by B25. B25 is 1.5 you are giving, right? So move your cursor to column B and 25. Under the exception, you have 1.5. So click on it. So that is B25. We want to make the B25 to be what? Absolute. So Fn in your keyboard and then press F4 together. Perfect. Otherwise, if it's not, it's false, then there is no overtime pay. So it's zero. So obviously the first one will get an overtime pay because D5, the hourly worked 45 is greater is greater is greater B24, which is the 40, right? So it's true. If you look here, it's true. So if true, then give this, and we have to multiply it by the 1.5 and the hourly wage. Otherwise, if it's false, then nothing will be given. No overtime payment. So click OK. Perfect. So now we need to add one decimal place. We will go back to the home, and then under the home on the ribbon, look for the number group, and you will see these three zeros here. Increase decimal. So we're going to increase it to only one. Perfect. Now we're going to find the gross. The gross will be the next, right? So the gross means you have to add the regular and the overtime to get the gross pay. So equal E5 for Spencer, and then plus F5, and then press the enter key. So you have 522 and 50 cents. All right. So let's go and read what else we need. So we calculated the gross pay in cell G5 based on the regular pay and the overtime. So the expense of regular pay is 440 with 5 overtime hours. Expense of overtime pay should be 8250. 8250 is his overtime, and then his regular pay is 440. All right, perfect. Now let's go to the next step. Step number 3. Create a formula in cell H5, which is the taxable pay. Multiply the number of dependents by the deduction per dependent and subtract that from the gross pay with 2 dependents. Spencer taxable pay is 422.50. So let's see. With Spencer has 2 dependents. So his taxable pay should be 422.50. So let's go and find out the formula for the taxable for Spencer. So as you see, it has 2 dependent, and then we have to use the we have to use The exception table they create for us here, that is 50. Detection per dependent is 50. All right. So Spencer has two. Now, to add the formula, you will start with always whenever you want to construct a formula, start with equal and then G5. G5 is the gross pay. So select the gross pay cell for Spencer minus and then open a parenthesis and then B5. What is B5? The number of dependent for Spencer. So it's 2. Click on that B5 multiplied by the detection per dependents, which is B27, the 50 you are giving. It depends on how many dependent he or she have. So for Spencer is 2, right? So 50 per dependent, right? So click on 50. Now we have to make the 50, which is B27, to be absolute. Why? When I will fill it down, when I will copy the formula for the taxable, as you see, I don't have anything underneath the 50. You see, it's empty cells. So Excel will count the empty space if you did not met the detector per dependent, which is cell number B27, absolute, because Excel is always relative to the cell, right? So once you have put the B27, B27 was what? The detection per dependent, right? So then you will press the Fn F4 to make it absolute. And then close the parentheses. And now press the enter key to get the taxable pay. So the taxable is 422.50 for Spencer. So it's 422.50. 422.50. 422.50. Perfect. Perfect. Now let's read the instruction. We're done with this one. Let's step number 3. Number 4. Insert the VLOOKUP function in cell I5. I5 is actually your tax, federal tax, to identify and calculate the federal withholding tax with a taxable pay of 422.50. Spencer tax rate is 25% and the withholding tax is 105.63, right? So the lookup function returns the applicable tax rate, which you must then multiply by the taxable pay that we found earlier, right? Now in Excel, the lookup function is very, very important. So we have to use the VLOOKUP. So the VLOOKUP function searches for a value in a column of a lookup table and then searches a specified number of columns to the right to return a value in the same row, right? So the VLOOKUP is more widely used than the other lookup function in Excel, right? So I will repeat again what the VLOOKUP is. The VLOOKUP function searches for a value in a column of a lookup table and then searches a specified number of columns to the right to return a value in the same row. All right. So all this stuff we are using to find out the federal tax. So let's get back to Excel. Move your cursor to I5 for Spencer. And then the VLOOKUP, you can also activate the VLOOKUP. One way is you can go to formulas, lookup and references, and you can scroll all the way like this, right? And then the VLOOKUP is here, right? Now I can also show you can do it from here. You can start with equal, and then you can type VL. That's the VLOOKUP, which is gonna look for a value in the leftmost column of the table, and then return the value in the same row from a column you specified, right? So if you click on this, double click it, now you're gonna get the arguments. So you see the one in dark, in black, that means you have to specify the lookup value. What is your lookup? What you are looking, which value you are looking for? So my lookup value in this case will be H5, which is the taxable pay, right? Then comma. Then next we have, see now the next one in dark after the comma you said is the table array. So where is the table array? The table array they already have created for us. If you look here down, that's the table here, right? So you're gonna highlight D24 all the way to E28. That's your table array, right? So let's go up. Now we need to make these guys absolute. So hold the Fn, press the Fn and F4 together until you see the D24 all the way to E28, they have a dollar sign with it. Perfect. Then comma. Then next you need to indicate the column, how many column the table array has. It has two of them, right? Two columns. So we're gonna put two columns, two. Then comma. Now after the two columns, then I said comma, now I get a drop down. If you put true, it means you want the approximate match. If you put false, that means you want exact match for what you are asking for. So obviously we want to do the true one. So double click the true. Then close the parentheses. That's the VLOOKUP way of creating the VLOOKUP. So you have to provide the lookup value, the table array, how many columns the table array have, and then whether you want exact or approximate value. So true means approximate, and if you put false, it means exact value you are looking at. And then multiplied after you get the value, then multiply by H5, H5, which is the taxable. All right. Now press the enter key. So 105, 62 for 105.625. So we need to decrease to two only. All right. Two decimals. So you can go back to the home, and then we can go to the number group here, and then we can decrease the decimal only one. All right, perfect. Now we need to go to find the FICA. So let's see what is the next message, the instruction. So as you see, we got 105.63. Number 5 step is Calculate the FICA in cell J5. J5 is the FICA based on the gross pay and the FICA rate. The rate is under the exceptions, right? And calculate the net pay in cell K5. So we have to do two things. We have to find the FICA first, and then we have to find the net pay for Spencer. Then we have to copy all the formula down to their respective columns. Be sure to preserve the existing formatting in the document. Based on the hours Spencer worked, he paid $39.97 to FICA and had weekly net pay of 376.90 cents. All right. So let's go and find the figure. So let's go to Excel again. Your cursor is under the J5, row number 5 for Spencer. So we're going to start the formula with always equal. And then G5. G5 is your gross pay multiplied by what? We want to multiply by the exception they have given the rate for the FICA. The FICA rate is 7.65. So click on 7.65%. All right. And we want to make the B26 under the exception to be absolute. So press Fn F4 and then press the enter key. So that gives us 39.97125. So we need to shrink it down to 39.97. So go back to the home tab, go to the number group under the ribbon, and then click on decrease decimal. So 1, 2, 3. So it's very easy to read instead of having these too much decimal places. So now 39.97. Now the next one is we have to find the net pay for Spencer. So you're gonna say equal G5, which is the gross pay for Spencer, minus I5, which is the federal tax, minus J5, which is the FICA. All right. Now press the enter key to execute the formula. So he have 37690. That's what they said here. 37690, right? All right. So the next thing is we need to copy all the formulas with respective column. Be sure to preserve the existing formatting in the document based on the hours Spencer worked. He paid 39.97 FICA and the weekly net pay for Spencer is 376.90 cents. All right. So the next step, number 6, use the quick analysis tool to calculate the total regular pay, overtime pay, gross pay, taxable pay, withholding tax, FICA, and net pay. We have to find the sum of these on row 17 in your worksheet. So if you are using Mac, this step must be completed using the auto sum feature on the ribbon. So for the Mac, If you have a Mac laptop, then obviously you will have to use the auto sum and then to sum up all these, right? So in this case, I will go back to my, so before we do that, we have to select the regular pay for Spencer. And when you see the tick plus sign, the white, hold the left key of your mouse and highlight the other cells. Now, hold the fill handle. You see the small square in the right bottom. So I don't want the tick plus, I want the tiny black plus sign. Hold the left key of your mouse and drag it and to copy the formula to all of the other employees. Perfect. We got everything done. All right. Now, the next is we have to use the quick analysis tool. So what we need to do, you will select the regular pay for Spencer all the way like this because we want to find the total in row number 7 for all these, right? So you will see when you selected the pay and you highlight it, and then you will see this small icon here. That's the quick access. So let me do it again. That's the quick analysis tool. Click on it and then click on totals and then you want the sum. Click on it. Perfect. Okay. So everything look perfect. All right. And then this one has 3 decimals, so we can delete one of them. So go to the home number group and click one time. Okay, so the other one, this one, has to be one more decimal like this. All right, perfect. Now let's go and read. So we did this one. Step number 7. Apply the formatting number format to the range C5 and then all the way to C16 and apply number format to the first row of the monthly data and to the total row. All right. So first we need to apply the accounting number format to the column C5 all the way to C16, one at a time. That's the column C. So C5 all the way to C16. Now it says currency. So go to the home tab first. Be sure you are in the number group and then click the drop down and we are looking for accounting. Perfect. Next, apply accounting number format to the first row of the monthly data and to the total row and apply the comma style to the monthly values for the other employees. So obviously we need to select this guy E5 all the way to K5 for Spencer. Then hold the control key, or you can do it individually. Select this, then go here and choose accounting, right? Or you can hold the control key and select the row E17 So I have to do it again. Select E17 until you see the gray. Now release your finger from the control key. If you have hard time to do that, just select the first row and then go to the number group and then go to the drop down for the data type and then you can assign accounting. All right. So to save time, obviously that's what I did. All right. But if you had a hard time highlighting multiple, so when you want to select a non-adjacent cells, right, we have to hold the control key and then we have to select the other cell. So we're done with this. We put the dollar. Now the remaining monthly data should be the comma star, right? So we have to select E6 for Wagner all the way to K16. And then we will go back to the home and then be sure that you are under the number group on the ribbon and be sure that you click the comma in the in the right in the right of the you can say the percentage so you can't miss it, so click it. Now the zeros will be converted to negative because now they turn to accounting. All right, so everything look perfect. Now let's go and read. So we're done with this one. We have given the comma style to the monthly values for the other employees. Now let's get to step number 8. Insert an appropriate function to calculate the average, highest, the minimum, the lowest values in the summary statistics area. The range is I-24 to K-26 of the worksheet. So then we have to format the number of hours calculation as number format with one decimal place and the remaining calculations with the accounting number format, right? So we have to look for I-24. This is the I-24 is this one here, right? So first we're gonna find the I-24 is the number of hours. We want to find the average. Then we have to find the average of the gross pay, and then we have to find the average for the net pay, which is this one here. And then we want to find out the highest number of hours worked, and the highest gross pay, and the highest net pay. And then we want to find the lowest, the minimum from the number of hours worked by the employees, and then we have to find the lowest for the gross pay, and also we have to find out the lowest for the net pay. So let's start. Now, to find the average of the number of hours, what you need to do is you will have to go to the home tab, right here. And then the second last group is editing. You will see the auto sum. Click the drop down. You will see average below the sum. Average. Click on it. Now it's gonna ask you which of the column that you wanna find the average from. In this case is the hour worked, right? So that one is wrong. We have to select D5 all the way to D16. When you see everything look perfect, press the enter key. All right. Now we want to find the highest for the number of hours, right? You will go back to the home, the editing group here, and then auto sum. And then now this time, because the highest means max function. A function is predefined, right? It's already created for us. We have to execute it. So because I want to find the highest value from a range of values, so I will use the max for maximum. So click on max, and then we will go back to D5 all the way to D16 because we want to find the number of hours. So from the list here, which one is the highest? So the highest is 45. Then we want to find the lowest hour worked, right? So we're gonna go back to the editing group. So but be sure that you are in I 26 because you want to find the lowest for the number of hours worked. So we're gonna go back to the editing under the home tab. Click the small down arrow under the auto sum. Now find min for minimum, lowest. Your range will be D5 all the way to D16, and then press the enter key. When everything look perfect in the formula, in the function, press the enter key. Perfect. Now we need this one to be only one decimal place. So we will go back and go to the number group and decrease. Keep on pressing until you see 31.9. Now this one we have to increase. So highlight them, both of them highlight the cells, and then go back to the number group here, and then you will use this guy. You will use increase only one decimal place. So we don't need all this. So keep on deleting. If you get the what I got, so we need only one decimal place. Now we want to find the average of the gross pay, right? So we will do the same thing, but this time we're going to use the column, the gross pay, right? So you will go to the first you have to set your pointer, your cursor to J24. Go to the editing, click the down arrow. The second function is average. Now we want to find the average of the gross pay. Look where the gross pay is the column G. Start from Spencer, which is G5, all the way to Davison, which is G16, and press the enter key. Now we want to find out the highest in the gross pay column. So we need to go back to the editing, but be sure that you are in the home tab. Click the auto sum, and we want to find the highest means maximum, and we want to go to G5 all the way to G16 and press the enter key. So it's gonna say from G5 all the way to G16, and then when everything look perfect, then press the enter key so that you can see the result of the maximum for the gross pay, which value is the max. In this case is 522.50. So 522 and 50 cents is the highest gross pay. Now we want to see who is the employee who get the lowest gross pay, the minimum. So we're gonna go back to editing. Now, if you don't want to use from here, you can go to the formula tab Let me show you the other way. And then under the function library, you will see the same guy here, auto sum. You can click it down and then you can say min for minimum, the lowest. And then you will select G5 all the way to G16. And if you look in the formula, if everything perfect, then press the enter key. So the minimum gross pay is 168. Now let's find out the average for the net for this one. What's the average? So while you are already in the formula tab and you already see the auto sum, click the down arrow and click the second option, average, and then select K5 all the way to K16. And then when everything look perfect, press the enter key to execute the function average. So 272 and 58 cents is the average net pay for the employees. Now we want to find the highest employee who have the net pay. So we will go back to the auto sum under the function, the tab formulas, function library is the group. Then go to auto sum and let's click on max. Highest means maximum. And then we have to select, move your cursor to K5 all the way to K16. That's your range. Once the range is selected, then press the enter key. 376 and 90 cents is the highest. Now we want to find out the minimum net pay. So you can go to the formula tab, function library. You can click the down arrow under the auto sum, and then you will find minimum. Click for min function, and then select K5 all the way to K16. When everything look perfect, press the enter key. 152. That's the minimum, the lowest net pay. Now, if we go back and read what they want us to do here, they said that the remaining calculation with accounting number format we need. So let's go back. Let's highlight these cells and then let's go back to the home and the number group and check the data tab should be accounting, which was accounting already, right? If yours is not, then you have to change to accounting. Perfect. Let's go back to that will be the last one. The last one is now to use something that we have X lookup. The X lookup function is available on the latest Excel. If you have Excel, the all Excel, then you might not be able to find the X lookup, right? So Microsoft, they add a new lookup. So the most flexible lookup function is the X lookup. The X lookup function searches for the value in a lookup table or range and returns the corresponding value to the cell containing the function. All right. So that's like a new in the previous version of Excel, we used to have H lookup and V lookup. So the V lookup is the most popular also. So, but we need to use the X lookup, right? So let me repeat what the X lookup is. The X lookup function searches for a value in a lookup table or range and return the corresponding value to the cell containing the function, right? So in this case, we have to select, then we have to figure out uh, we want to return the value actually. Okay, so here, let's see what the statement says here, what we need to do. So use the lookup function to look up the employee name. In this case, will be a Wagner in A20 in the payroll data and return the specified information in a row 20 and ensure that the return array includes the overtime pay, the gross pay, taxable pay, federal tax, FICA, and the net pay. So what in case if your boss says that I have an employee named Wagner and out of 1,000 employees, can you get me his regular pay, overtime pay, gross pay, taxable pay, federal tax, FICA, and net pay out of 1,000 employees? So in a few seconds, Excel will give you the results. So let's do it. So if you look here, that's what we want to populate. In this case, our lookup will be Wagner. We have to look Wagner from the list here of employees, and then we want to return the value of the regular pay, overtime, gross pay, taxable, federal tax, FICA, and net pay. So to do that, what we want to do is we need to highlight these cells because that's what we want to find, right? And then we're going to go to formulas, and then we're going to go to the lookup under the function library under the formula tab, then function group on the ribbon. And then we have to scroll all the way down until you see X lookup. So as I'm telling you, if you have an all Excel, my Excel I'm using is Excel Office 2024, or you can look at 2021 and see. So X lookup, search a range or an array for a match and return the corresponding item from the second range or array, right? So click on it. And then what is your lookup value? We are looking Wagner, right? And then the next thing you can do, we can do something like suppose suppose we want to do after you select A20, right? That's what we are looking, Wagner. Now lookup array is the array or the range to search. We want to search Wagner, remember? So the Wagner is the name of the employees, right? All these. So you're gonna highlight that range that has all the employees, all right? And then what is your return? The return, actually the return will be, we want to return this one here. So we want to start from B20 all the way to, so let me do it again. Let me do it again. So obviously what I want to do is I want to check again. Give me a few seconds. So I want to do it again. Okay. So let's read again. Use the VLOOKUP function to look up the employee name in Cell A20 Wagner in the payroll data and return the specified information in row 220 to ensure that the return array include the overtime. Okay, so let's go back. So put the name here, A20. So let's go to lookup and then scroll down to the X lookup and then what you want to look up for. We are looking for A20 Wagner and then what's the lookup array? Lookup array is the array or the range to search. So select all these. So obviously I was doing it right actually earlier. So highlight because we want to find out the regular pay, overtime, gross, taxable for Wagner, right? So highlight this. That's where we want to dump the answer. So let's do it again. Sorry. So go down, go to the X lookup, and now your lookup value is actually Wagner in A20. Lookup array is the array or the range to search Wagner. You want to search Wagner from here, A5 all the way to A16. Now the return value is the array or the range to return, right? So that will be E, E5 all the way to K16. All right, all right, and then the next time we have to click OK so that we're gonna get the answer done here. Perfect. So if you look here, we wanna see did we get the exact. So obviously, if you look, guys, we were looking for Wagner, right? So from all the employees, Wagner was the second in line. That's the guy here. And then the boss wants us to get his payroll, all his overtimes, everything, right? So let me do it again. I don't want to I don't want to highlight the one I want to show you, so I will move forward the other ones so that I can show you how perfect the X lookup works in here. And pay attention to this one here. So 342 is the pay. He don't have any overtime, zero. 342 is his gross. 292 is what the taxable. 64 is his tax, federal tax. 2616 is his FICA. And then 251 is the net pay. So exactly it searched for us and it returned what we asked for. Initially, in the beginning, what you did was you have selected these cells, right? Because that's where what you want to return. That's where you want to find out the payroll, the overtime pay, and all these other pay, right? So once you highlighted the empty cell this, then you went to the lookup and you looked for X lookup. And then from there, The first option is the lookup value. So we are looking for Wagner out of 16 employees or 1,000, 2,000 employees, right? So then you have to highlight all the employees. That's your table array. And then from which you want the return value that you want to return from. Then you have to highlight E5 all the way to K16. Once you've done that, then press the enter key and then it's gonna find for you and then it's gonna get you the answer under what you highlighted, which cells you highlighted, right? So that looked perfect. Now let's go back and see. So that was the last thing. We have to save and then we have to submit it to MyLab to see the grade we got. So I will close the instruction. I will save my file. I will just go a little bit through this to see is everything perfect. Everything look perfect. The formulas are good. Perfect. Okay, now I will hit save from the quick access toolbar and I will close Excel. Now we're gonna go back to the canvas and to the assignment. So we're gonna upload the assignment. So I will go back to the canvas assignment and then we have to scroll and find the assignment, which is Excel Chapter 2, Mid-Level 1, Payroll for PC and Mac. All right. So you need to click it and then click Open Person. It will open your assignment. So we're done with the download stuff. Now it's time to check our grade. So click on Upload File. That's the payroll. Select the Excel file. Click Open and then Upload. Then Continue. Perfect. You see here, my current score is what? 100%. So if you did wrong and you didn't get the 100%, then what you need to do is that you have to click on review and be sure that your pop-ups are on and then you can see where the problem is. It's gonna indicate in red, right? In my case, I don't have any problem. And as you see in my summary report, the total and the points I earned and the possible point is 100 point. So everything, it looks perfect, right? So with that, you need to practice and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to like the channel so that I can create more productive videos for you to learn Excel or other application. And also be sure to share with your friends, with your family member. And I hope you learn a lot from this video. Thank you so much. Be blessed and see you again. Bye. Take care. Have a nice day.